Hare Krishna everyone, welcome. So today we will be covering Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 17, the History of Kāliya. So we will start with Kirtan, followed by reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10th Canto, Chapter 17, the first verse up to the purport, and then we will cover some of the lessons and Lord Krishna's pastimes as how they signify purification of our heart and remove various kind of anarthas that may be inflicting us and keeping us in this material world, life after life. And after that, we will end, again after the lessons, we'll end with more Kirtan. Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswati Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udiriyet
Tato Jayamudiriye
Shavtam Swakatha Krishna
Shavatam Svakatha Krishna
Pundiya Shamana Kirtanaha
Yashana Kirtana
Hridayantasto Bhadrani
Vidantastu Bhadrani
Vidunote Suhasatam
Vidunati Suhatsutam
Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya
Bhagavate Uttam Shloke
Bhagavate Uttam Shloke
Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So today we'll be reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 10th canto, chapter 17. Verse 1. Shri Rajo Vacha
Shri Rajo Vacha
Nagalyam Ramanakam
Nagalayam Ramanakam
Katam Tadyaj Kāliya
Katam Tattyaja Kāliya
Kritam Kim Va Suparnasya
Tam Kim Va Suparnasya
Tene Kena Samanjasam
Tena Kena Samanjasam Shri Rajo Vacha
Shri Rajo Vacha
Nagalayam Ramanakam
Nagalayam Ramanakam
Katham Tattyaja Kāliya
Katham Tatyaj Kāliya
Kritam Kim Va Suparnasya
Kritam Kim Va Suparnasya
Tenaikena Samanjasam
Tene Kena Samanjasam. Shri Raja Uvacha.
Shri Raja Vacha.
The king said,
The king said,
Naga
Naga
of the serpents,
of the serpents,
Alayam
Alayam,
the residence,
the residence,
Ramanakam
Ramanakam,
the island named Ramanaka.
the island named Ramanak,
Katham,
Katham,
why?
why
Tatyaj
Tatyaj
gave up.
gave up
Kāliya,
Kāliya,
Kritam
Kritam
was bait.
was made,
Kim va
Kim Va,
and why?
and why
Suparnasya
Suparnasya
of Garuna.
of Garud,
Tena
Tena
with him.
with him,
Kāliya
Kāliya,
Ekena
Ekena,
alone.
alone,
Asamanjasam
Asmanjasam,
enmity.
enmity.
Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Having thus heard how Lord Krishna chastised Kāliya, King Parikshit inquired, why did Kāliya leave Ramanaka island, the abode of the serpents, and why did Garud become so antagonistic toward him alone? This is the purpose. We'll cover the next translation. Shukdev Goswami said, to avoid being eaten by Garud, the serpents had previously made an arrangement with him whereby they would each make a monthly offering of tribute at the base of a tree. Thus, every month on schedule, O mighty armed King Parikshit, each serpent would duly make his offering so that powerful carrier of Vishnu as a purchase of protection. Purport. Srila Sridhar Swami has given an alternate explanation of this verse. Upahar yahe may also be translated as by those who are to be eaten, or sarpajanah as those human beings who were dominated by or who belonged to the serpent race. According to this reading, a group of human beings had fallen under the control of the serpents and were prone to be eaten by them. To avoid this, the human beings would make a monthly offering to the serpents, who in turn would offer a portion of that offering to Garud, so that he would not eat them. The particular translation given above is based on the commentary of Srila Sanatana Goswami and the translation of Srila Prabhupada in his Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In any case, all the acharyas agree that the serpents purchased protection from Garun. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Gum Langhayate Girim Tat Kripatadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is referring to the earlier incident as how Lord Krishna drove Kāliya away from the lake near river Yamuna. And as we heard, Kāliya represents brutality, enviousness and treachery. So, and that particular third aspect becomes visible when Shukdev Goswami continues to, elaborate on the history of Kāliya. And Acharyas have given a very important lesson. They have revealed to us that just like Kāliya, who was so brutal, in his ignorance, thinking everything belongs, relation with his body, he's thinking everything belongs to him. Even the whole lake, he was thinking belongs to him. And his previous birth, as we heard yesterday, he was Veda Shiramuni. And when he established his ashram at the Vindhya Hills, he, really believed that the whole Vindhya Hills area belonged to him. And then when Ashwashiramuni came to meditate there, he rebuked him, and thus he was cursed to become a serpent and be constantly be in fear of Garun. So how did he become, so fearful of Garun that he had to take shelter at that lake? And why is it that Garun was not able to come to this lake? So all those secrets are relieved by Shukdev Goswami, and this is because of the inquiry Parikshit Maharaj is placing in front of him. So just like that, means when it is difficult for Lord to perform his pastimes in a place that is polluted, sometimes this is what happens. When our tongue is so much engrossed, and of all our senses, of the 5 senses that are engaged with the sense objects, the tongue is the strongest. And when we chant the holy name of the Lord, it is said that Lord is dancing on our tongue. So if our tongue is like serpents, it's the hood of the serpents, then just like Lord Krishna danced on the hoods of Kāliya, and he, drove away all the poison of Kāliya, all the egoistic that represented the blood, and completely humbled him. Similarly, when we chant the holy name of the Lord, our senses are purified, and the strongest sense, the tongue, immediately comes and is subdued because of the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And chanting of the holy name has 3 stages. First is Abhas, Namabhas. So just like in the morning, before the sun comes up, there is this lalima, right? That red effulgence near the horizon on the eastern horizon. And that is just like, the sun has not risen, but at the same time there is some light, and you have some, understanding that yes, it's about to be sunrise. So just like that Namabhas, we start to experience the holy name. And of course, even before that is Namaprad. So even before that is when we are chanting the holy name, and we are, our mind is wandering all over the place. So sometimes when people are chanting in the beginning stage, and I have experienced that myself, is in the beginning you pick up Japmala and you are chanting, yet at the same time your mind is wandering all over the place. Brahma Muhurat is said to be, the good time to start chanting. However, when mind is wandering, it is very difficult to subdue it. So how do you subdue it? It's by chanting of the holy name. And so there is Namaprad stage where you are committing offenses to the holy name. It's very interesting when you're chanting in the beginning stages, you're thinking, Are kitna, kitna, are, ye kaam, wo kaam, sab kaam, dhare, dhare. So it's like, you're constantly meditating on all the activities you have to perform during the day. So you have to be very careful when you're chanting the holy name. Bring back your mind. You should try to pronounce, Srila Prabhupada said, try to pronounce every syllable very clearly, so that you can hear it very clearly. And Lord Krishna's name, Lord Krishna is dancing on your tongue. Believe that, just like Kāliya, his hoods were completely subdued. The tongue is being subdued and purified by the chanting of the holy name. And the chanting of the holy name is coming out as you're chanting and goes into your ears, directly into your heart, and completely purifies your heart. Chetu Darpana Marjanam. So Lord Chaitanya, he reveals that we have the mirror of our heart, but we are not able to see ourselves clearly. We are associating with this body, and the false ego is causing us to engage in this sense gratification, the sense enjoyment, which is so, fallen activities. Yet at the same time, that's happening because we cannot see ourselves in the mirror of our heart. And when we chant the holy name, the dust on the mirror is removed. So it goes away. It's been cleansed. So as the mirror is cleansed and we are able to see ourselves, we are able to see who we are, what is our constitutional position. Jivera Sarupoya Krishnera Nityadas. So we are an eternal summit of Krishna. And right there we're starting to establish our relationship with the Lord. So if you want to remove the offenses committed by chanting, then you need to chant more. And more you chant to purify your tongue. And soon all this poison of, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsara, all this lust, anger, greed, madness, delusion, envy, all of this will wash away. Just like Kāliya, from his, fangs were broken and he was spitting all the poison. As the poison was being driven away and the blood started coming out, he was completely subdued. In that mood, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us, he is instructing us how we should chant. Tranadapi Shrichena, Tarorapi Saishuna, Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So, just like a tree, more tolerant than a tree. A tree is very tolerant. You can see, like when the tree is, it's called Vraksh. The meaning of Vraksh is one that is meant to be cut down. Yet at the same time, when people are cutting it, does it, object? Does it strike back? No, it doesn't. It is very tolerant. When we go and, when we see trees at times, and here, very nice, also many examples are given that there were some amazing trees which would constantly give shelter to the cowherd boys as they were tending to the cows. So similarly, trees, they give us shade. They give us fruits. And some trees have barks that have medicinal properties. So they are constantly giving, never expecting anything in return, yet at the same time completely relying, because they have less consciousness. Just like in the embryo of a mother, the baby cannot move and has very little consciousness. Just like that, trees have very little consciousness. Now that also represents that when we are in that mood, more tolerant than the trees, then we have to try to limit our consciousness of the material aspects of sense gratification, the thoughts of sense gratification, the thoughts of engaging with materialists. We have to, detach ourselves from that and continue to be attached to lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. So that's how we should be meditating. We should be praying, and we are chanting of the holy name. So soon, as the venom is, driven away and the fangs are broken in the case of Kāliya, because Lord Krishna is dancing on his hood. Similarly, when he dances on our tongue, all those offenses are driven away. And so we can start to experience a glimpse of the holy name. That is the second stage of Namabhas. And then as we continue to chant and engage in loving devotional service of the Lord, we start to get the taste of the holy name. We start to relish it. We start to feel awakened, fully awakened. Our senses are fully purified. And that is the third stage, highest stage is Shuddhanam. And when you reach to the level of Shuddhanam, you're constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord. Even during the day, you want to chant the holy name of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada used to instruct that even between taking morsel of food when you're on prasadam, then between there also you should be chanting the holy name of the Lord. So you become more and more attracted to the holy name of the Lord, which is not different than the Supreme Lord. So Lord Shri Krishna. So the name and the person who is named are not different. All the potencies of Lord Krishna are there, yet the name of Lord Krishna is more merciful. In this Kali age, that is our only shelter. As we understand in this Kali age, Sankirtan Yajna is the Yajna for this age. So similarly, as Kāliya was subdued and his hoods were completely, subdued, and Lord was dancing, just imagine that dancing is happening on the tip of your tongue as you're chanting the holy name. And as Lord Krishna subdues Kāliya, and now the Nagapatni is seeing their husband, who previously were thinking that this husband of ours, he is a non-devotee, he does not, take to the devotional service. And Nagapatnis, they're completely, apart from all of the personalities you can imagine. We have seen Devas singing prayers, we have seen Lord Brahma singing prayers, we have seen Lord Shiva singing prayers, we have seen even Devashi Nara singing prayers. So many personalities, but think of the wives of a serpent, and they are singing amazing prayers from their heart. So they are great devotee of the Lord, and they had been telling Kāliya, become a devotee, chant the holy name, become the devotee, engage in devotional service. But he was so puffed up because of the mystic power he had, because of the envious nature he had, because of the devious nature he had, and he would not become a devotee of the Lord. And that is because of the nature he was born in. Serpents are said to be envious by nature. So here, this is son of Kadru, Kāliya. Why was he driven away from the Ramanaka island? This is the inquiry of Parikshit Maharaj, right? And now he has been driven away by Lord Krishna and is returning back to Ramanaka island. And here, why was he fearful of Garun? Because Shukdev Goswami reveals to Parikshit Maharaj that Lord Krishna said that don't worry, Garun will not disturb you, he will leave you alone, because he will see my footprints on your hoods. And Lord's footprints, even when they were placed on the earth, on the land of Vrindavan, they are like, they are sacred. And so they are like jewels. All the Vrindavan Vasis, they would never, not even the calves and cows, they would run over them or smudge them, because they are the jewels, they are the sacred place on earth. So Lord is, when he is walking on the fields of Vrindavan, in the various forest region of Vrindavan and nearby areas, he is, blessing the earth by his footprints. And so they were able to follow these footprints. And we also shared earlier that when they were looking at the footprints, they could see the signs on the footprints. What are some of the signs? The elephant goat is one of the signs that is there. Then there is lotus flower, that's one of the signs. The bow is one of the signs. And so forth. So again, the Dwaj, the flag, that's also one of the signs. So they were looking at these signs and they were, oh, Lord Krishna walked here. So, and all the Vrindavan Vasis, because they started, even before, as soon as Lord Krishna was in the coils, immediately caught up in the coils of Kāliya, the bad omens appeared in Vrindavan. Now it's very interesting. Let's quickly quickly revisit this scenario where Lord Krishna, in this past time, climbs the Kardama tree, right? And there are two reasons given why all the vegetation up to 8 miles away from this particular lake were completely destroyed because of the influence of the poison of Kāliya. So the poison was causing the Yamuna, this lake water, to boil, right? And the fumes were so strong that even the birds that were flying over, they would fall dead because of the fumes. They were so poisonous in nature. And all the vegetation was destroyed. Yet at the same time, where Lord Krishna climbed. And so that was alive. So what happens is, summer afternoon, all the cowherd boys and the cows, they're thirsty, they taste this water and immediately they start to feel pain and fall unconscious and finally die. And when these boys and the cows are dead, Lord Krishna, with his glance, with his pleasing glance, he brings them back to life, and then they are astonished looking at each other. They knew that they had died. But because of the merciful glance of the Lord, He is Yogeshwar, He is the supreme yogi. He is able to bring them back to life. And they are looking at Him in very attractive ways, that He is their all in all, He is their very soul and life. And at that time, Lord Krishna, understanding that this is Kāliya serpent who has caused this water to go poisonous. So this is sometimes happens, that because of the materialistic desire, our heart is inflicted with all kind of poison, and this poison has to be driven away. But just by cleaning the water, does it happen? No. You have to find the root cause of why it is happening. Today we are hearing that people who are in Vrindavan, they are reporting that Vrindavan, the Yamuna water, the river has become so clean, because all that industrial waste that was being dumped in it is not there anymore. And now, over a period of time, it's getting clean. So we have to understand what's the root cause and remove the root cause. And this is, we are learning from Lord Shri Krishna. He climbs the Kadamba tree. And then as he's climbing, there are two reasons given, because this Kadamba tree was alive. First reason Acharyas gave is that knowing that Lord Krishna would be climbing this Kadamba tree to challenge Kāliya, Garud had dropped few drops on the Kadamba tree, stays alive. Second reason is, as soon as Srila Prabhupada gives in his in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as soon as Lord Krishna touched the Kadamba tree with his lotus feet, the tree became alive and Lord Krishna climbed it. He, tied up his hair in locks. He, patted his hands. He tied up his waist with the cloth, and then he jumped in the Yamuna waters. And it was such an amazing dive in the waters that up to 800 bow length, the water splashed on the shore. Just like, even though he appeared like a small cowherd boy, so old and so forth, but that did not, change his potency. And then he's playing in the waters, and there's musical sounds are coming up, very melodious, and all the cowherd boys and the cows, they are enjoying this scene, and that's where Kāliya, who is very cruel by nature, very envious by nature, is thinking somebody has come in my residence, and that's like a challenge to me. Just like he behaved in his previous birth against Ashwashira Muni, similarly he starts to behave. And Lord Krishna is looking so beautiful. All these drops of Yamuna water on his face are glistening like jewels, and he is looking so amazing, beautiful. But Kāliya doesn't see that. He immediately attacks and bites Lord Krishna right on his chest. So the envious nature, the anger, blinds us. We should not be blind. And then Lord Krishna fights with him. At that time, the various bad omens occur. The bad omens on the earth were the trembling of the earth, the shaking and so forth. In the sky, the meteors were falling, so those were bad omens. The cowherd men and Nand Maharaj, they experienced the shivering of the left side of their body. The elderly gopis, they felt the shaking of the right part of their bodies. Now there is also reference coming, a similar sign is given, which is an auspicious sign in Ramayana, when Lord Ramchandra, along with the Vanasena, right, his army of monkeys, he was able to cross over the bridge and make the bridge, cross over the bridge and come to Lanka. At that time, the left part of Mother Sita quivered, so it shivered. And that was a good sign that something auspicious is going to happen. But out here, all the bad omens are visible. And all the Vrindavan Vasis, their life and soul is Lord Krishna, so they all run. And Nand Maharaj is thinking that today all these bad omens are giving me indication that Krishna has gone without his elder brother Balram, and some kind of calamity is falling upon him, and maybe he will die today. And the thought is so unbearable, they all rush. So it was not just Nand Maharaj and Mother Yashoda and Rohini Mata and Balram, they are running to see Krishna. The whole of Vrindavan is disturbed, they are agitated, they are in anxiety, and they are following Lord Krishna's footprints, and they are going towards this lake. And when they come to the lake, they can't even ask the boys, because all those boys, just by seeing Lord Krishna in the coils, being caught up in coils of Kāliya, and the Kāliya is increasing his size, his majestic being. He's not a normal serpent. He is a great majestic being, so he's increasing the size of his body. And when they see Lord Krishna caught up in his coils, just lying like that, as if he is completely subdued instead of Kāliya, and he is like, unconscious, when they see, they start crying. Mother Yashoda is crying. Nand Maharaj is about to enter the water. The only personality who is laughing is Balram. He is smiling and he is laughing. He is thinking that Lord Krishna never cared to play with him when he is Anantashesh. Yet at the same time, he is playing with this common, serpent. Well, again, Kāliya happens also when we are talking about Anantashesh. They are brothers, right? Their father is Kashyapa Muni and the mother's name is Kadru. And Kadru has 1,000 Nagas as her sons. And the first one is Anantashesh, second one is Vasuki. Then comes Taksha and many others, and among them is Kāliya. So he's laughing that Lord Krishna never cared to play with me. And now he's playing with this, serpent, Kāliya. And so he is trying to stop everyone from entering the waters. He's saying there's no need to fear. And Lord Krishna, understanding that he is the life and soul of all the residents of Vrindavan, and they are about to give up their life because of the grief they are experiencing. So again, Acharyas explained that Lord Krishna was allowing them to lament and express their emotions so that their love towards him goes deeper and deeper, deeper and deeper. So here we are seeing how Lord Krishna, realizing that immediately, shows that he has come back to his consciousness and he starts increasing his size. And so there is a constant struggle, and Kāliya, his coils become loose and Lord Krishna throws him. He comes back, Lord Krishna throws him far away again, holding him. And then when he comes back, Lord Krishna punches him, and for that moment he falls unconscious. And that's the opportunity that Lord Krishna takes to ride on his horse, just climbs on his horse, and he starts jumping from one hood to another as an expert dancer. And there's a reference given of Nataraj, Lord Shiva, who is the greatest dancer. And Lord Krishna's dancing is exceeding the dancing of Lord Shiva. It is so melodious. And Lord Krishna is himself the musician along with the dancer. He's playing on his flute. So as he's playing on his flute and he is jumping from one hood to another, as soon as a hood comes up, Lord Krishna, suppresses it down. So that is also giving us a very important lesson that one way or another, we have to surrender at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. Some people who are very intelligent, Gyanvamam prabhadate mayamitam tarantite. So people who are intelligent, people who are Gyanis, they immediately take the shelter of Lord Shri Krishna's lotus feet. And they simply bow, in front of the deities, in front of the Vaishnavas, in front of the devotees, in front of the spiritual masters, in front of the scriptures and so forth. So when we see Lord in his form as Acha Vigraha, we immediately bow down. So that is one way of just in humility we bow down, seeking shelter of his lotus feet, because that is the best shelter where we feel fearlessness, where we are not tormented by the material miseries. And so that should be the attitude of one surrendering. But people who do not surrender to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and he also says, time I am. So in due time, they are surrendered to Lord Krishna's form as death. So they have to, everyone in this world has to surrender. And if you don't surrender when you are alive, you surrender at the time of death. Because he comes in the form of time, in the form of death, and you have to go down. So it's better to go down early on so that you have the right destination. You are able to go back home, back to Godhead. And one of the ways devotees are constantly meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord is by chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Which is a prayer that, oh Lord, please engage us in your service. Please keep us in your lotus feet so that we can continue to purify ourselves. This is for our own purification, to drive away all that poison. Just like Kāliya's poison was driven away. All that poison is driven away from our heart. All the poison is driven away from our senses so that we get purified. And so when Nagpatnis, they had initially seen, they were thinking, let Kāliya die. He's not a devotee. He is very envious. He's very cruel by nature. Let him die. But then when they saw Kāliya spitting out blood, and that he's he has taken that humble position, and he has understood that Lord Krishna is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He had fought Garuna before, but he is saying now that Lord Krishna is 1,000 times more powerful than Garuna. So he is about to, he has taken that humble position, and he is surrendering at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna. And at that time they realized that Kāliya is so fortunate that Lord Krishna is dancing on him. So they start, praying to the Lord, and in their prayers they are also glorifying Kāliya, saying that what kind of pious activities has he performed that he is able to touch the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. While Goddess Lakshmi, she does great sacrifices, she is meditating for thousands of years, trying to touch the lotus feet of the Lord. Yet Kāliya is so fortunate that he is, and many demigods, they are constantly meditating at the lotus feet of the Lord. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, everyone is seeking the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Yet at the same time, Kāliya is so fortunate that he is able to get it. And at that time, Lord Krishna is pacified, and he comes off the hoods of Kāliya. And because of the city he has created, Lord Krishna is there. So this particular part is where Kāliya starts singing prayers, in a humble state, in that mood of servitude. He is singing prayers to the Lord, and because he is feeling so, weak, and that he had not been practicing for such a long time, he is using the prayers that was previously given, narrated, sung by his wives. Those prayers, he is borrowing words from them. Now again, there is a lesson here. When we feel that we do not have the right mood, we do not have the right attitude to offer prayers to the Lord, this is where Acharyas tell us that we should sing Vaishnava prayers, right? The songs by the Acharyas. We should sing the prayers that were sung by the great personalities. We sing Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is, he has complete bliss. He is the embodiment of eternity and knowledge. And he is the cause of all causes. So when we sing these prayers, we are able to meditate on Lord Krishna, his beautiful form, and also realize the great potencies he has. Alahadini, Samdhini and Samvit, which are in the form of, when we say, Satchidananda Vigraha. Sat is eternity, right? Ananda, bliss. So, Satchit, Anand. And then, of course, there is full knowledge, Chit. So we hear from this particular perspective that how Kāliya is singing praise, and then he's worshipping Lord Krishna. When he's worshipping Lord Krishna, this is an opportunity where Kaustuva gem, along with the various jewels and ornaments, are being given. Lord has been, worshipped opulently. He is wearing amazing garland, and he is wearing garments which are like, striking like thunder, that golden complexion, and then he is receiving the various jewels, and he's completely covered with gold and emerald and so many jewels, and the Kaustuva is coming. So Lord Krishna uses this pastime to let the Kaustuva invisibly, go and enter into the treasury of Kāliya. And when Kāliya is offering, he's thinking this is just a common jewel from his treasury, yet at the same time, this is Kaustuva money, and Lord Krishna immediately picks it up and puts it on his chest. So he has accepted all of that, and then he gives the instruction to Kāliya to go away, because where there is pastime of Lord Krishna, there is no need of any poison. There is no need for any envy. There is no need for any cruelty. This is a place where everyone is engaged in just serving Lord Krishna. It is filled with love, and there is no tinge of lust. Now it is very important to understand the characteristic of love and lust. They are very much identical. They are just like iron and gold. Just like iron and gold, they are metals. Similarly, lust and love, they appear to be of the same nature. They seem to have the same mode of attraction, the same mode of engagement. Yet at the same time, there is a big difference. There is a gulf of difference, because Love is defined as, engaging in to satisfy Lord Krishna, while lust is defined as engaging in to satisfy the senses. So when we engage in serving Lord Krishna by engaging in various kind of devotional service with love and servitude in a humble state of mind, seeking to please the Lord, at that time our love is showing up without seeking any returns. Yet at the same time, on the other hand, when we are seeking lust, we are seeking it for our sense gratification. We are engaging with the sense object so that we get satisfied. We don't even care that we are misusing the sense objects or even other personalities, other living entities. That is sense gratification. That is lust. So when we put ourselves in the center and seek everything to be belonging to us for the satisfaction of our senses, then it is lust. Yet at the same time, when we bring ourselves out and in a humble state of mind, place Lord Krishna in the center and focus everything around Lord Krishna, that is love. So we need to understand as how we are engaging in love versus our engagement in lust. And so there is no need for any poison, any envious personality. So Lord Krishna tells him to go away from Ramanaka Island and to go away from the Yamuna lake and go back to Ramanaka Island, and there he can live peacefully. So as we heard that, Acharyas explained that at that time Kāliya also had this prayer, and he expressed to Lord Krishna that I understand that your carrier is Garun, and Garun is his half brother, half cousin. So they have the same father, Kashyapa Muni, yet different mothers. So Vinita is the mother of Garun, and Kadru is the mother of Kāliya. So he says that yet at the same time, you would also allow me to serve you by taking you to different places, allow me to be a carrier. And Acharyas explained that this pastime continues to repeat so many times, and many times Lord Krishna, he goes to Mathura and other places riding on Kāliya instead of Garun. Now, Parikshit Maharaj has expressed his inquiry as why was it that because of the fear of Garun, Kāliya had taken shelter of this lake near Yamuna river. And why was it? What was the cause that Garun was, so envious? He was chastising Kāliya. So Shukdev Goswami, he reveals it that the natural food of Garun, his best meal is snakes, serpents. So he would come to Ramanaka Island, and sometimes he would eat snakes. But at the same time, as he was killing the snakes, he would, eat some, but leave many of them to die. And so all the serpents, they got together and said, how can we find a solution for this? Because too many snakes and serpents are being killed while not being eaten as much, and he is killing so many of them. So they approach, so Vasuki, they approach the elder brother. Vasuki approaches Lord Brahma and prays to him to find a solution. And at that time, Lord Brahma, he approaches and prays to Garudev to not, kill so much, and they come to an agreement. So this is where sometimes it's very important to communicate, and we should continue to communicate to make sure that all the parties can come to an agreement, a middle ground where everyone can sustain peacefully. So here, an agreement is reached that every month there will be offerings placed under a tree at the Ramanaka Island, and when Garun comes, he can enjoy this offering, and that would be offering to Garudev. Now in current times, people try to put this kind of arrangement as in different names, right? In India, we hear like how the goons or the bad elements and gangs in local places, they call it hafta. Like they're saying, you're buying protection from us. And who are you getting protected from? From the goons, if you are paying that. So you have to pay. And sometimes even in the places where people are, using their power, just diski lati uski bas, whoever has the power drives and, collects money. That is much different than the taxes. So we have to understand, sometimes people even get confused. Why is government collecting taxes? Is it for our protection and they are like someone in power? No, actually, this is a tradition that was established from long back. And especially the grihasthas, they would be engaged in giving taxes. So brahmacharis, they are just serving in Gurukul, so they would not pay any taxes. Sannyasis are constantly engaged in preaching activities, constantly engage in their bhajan kriya, the devotional service, so they won't pay any taxes. People who are taking vanaprastha, they have retired from their lives, they won't pay any taxes. So it is mainly meant for grihasthas to pay taxes. And the taxes is paid as part of their income so that, and this is a tax season as we can understand. So we should pay taxes with this humble state that this taxes is being used for the welfare of the whole society. Because there are various programs that the government has to establish and support. They have to make roads, they have to make bridges, they have to make sure that the sufficient facilities are provided. They have to make sure that everyone is able to sustain in our current environment. And from the Vedic times, the focus has been that people are engaging in spiritual advancement. So the kings, they were saintly kings, just like Maharaj Parikshit. They were very saintly kings and they would focus on benefiting the society as a whole so that the complete society continues to rise spiritually and engage in devotional service. And it was also for the purification of the grihasthas, because by giving that share, and also you can say that people who were of the different categories, we have Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras. So again, the Vaishyas were the main ones who would grow grains through agriculture. They would have, by Goraksha, they would have cow milk from which they could make so many preparations like yogurt, butter and so forth. So similarly as, and the trade, which is the third, mercantile activities. So they would pay taxes so that, they would continue to, engage and support the society as well. So all these activities were being performed. Even the people who were getting wages, they would pay taxes so that they can continue to contribute to the society. So it's a common effort of supporting the whole society. Sometimes people become animical towards others like brahmacharis or towards sannyasis, and that should not be the attitude, because they are doing a great benefit to the society. While you are trying to support by giving whatever little you are giving for the taxes to encourage the welfare, it is only outwardly welfare, looking at the facilities. But the sannyasis, the brahmacharis, the vanaprasthis, they are, and the devotees, the Vaishnavas, they are engaged day and night to ensure that the society is cleansed from within, while the government is putting up programs so that the society is cleansed from without and is nourished and healthy outside with all the facilities. So here they have agreed to give this offering to Gurudev. However, this Kāliya was one of the leaders, and he was envious by nature. And he was treacherous, and the treachery comes sometimes because you have seen someone doing something to you. And previously it had happened that, and this is a long story, but at the same time he had seen that when Nagas, they were able to get a pot of nectar from Garun to free, when he had given this pot, as an agreement that they would free his mother, Vinata, from the slavery that she was doing to her sister, Kadru. At that time, they had agreed that he would provide them the pot. However, Garudev had already been asked by Indradev. He said that Nagas are already creating a lot of torment, a lot of cruelty, and they are being very cruel, they are being very devious, they have been very envious, and they are spreading a lot of evil. So if they become immortal, it will be a great injustice to the society. So at that time, Gurudev had given him an instruction that I will incite them to leave the pot for a little while, and then you can go and pick up the pot from the place I place it. And then when Gurudev gave the pot and his mother was released from the slavery of her sister, the mother of the Nagas, at that time he places it on a place where there was a lot of kusha grass. And then he incites them that before eating this you should be pure. So you should go and take bath and meditate, and then you should accept nectar. And then Garudev, he left with his mother, and the Nagas meditated. Oh, Garud said we should be pure before we drink the nectar. So they left to take bath, and this is the opportunity that Indradev had used to pick up the pot of nectar and go back to heavenly kingdom again. So when he left that, Nagas remembered that how they had previously cheated Vinata, and so she was made a slave of their mother Kadru. Similarly, they have been cheated, and so being envious in very nature, Kāliya was thinking of that because of Garud, he had actually enabled that nectar to be stolen from us. Why should we make an offering to him? So he would go, before Garud would go to take the offering that the Nagas were placing on a monthly basis, and he would enjoy all that offering. He would take it away. And over a period of time, Garud came to know. So he came to chastise Kāliya at Ramanaka Island. And then there was a fierce battle ensued between Kāliya and Garud. And as Kāliya was bringing up his hordes, spitting as fire all his poison towards Garudev. Garud, he is an amazing bird with his big wings. He came, and just with his left wing, he gave such a big smashing bolt, like thunderbolt, fell on Kāliya, and he ran for his life. He literally ran for his life. However, Kāliya was aware that there is one place Garud would not go, and that was this lake in Yamuna river. So in this lake, which was near the Yamuna river, formed from the Yamuna waters, this is where Garud would not come. So Parikshit Maharaj asked, why is it that Kāliya would not come there? So Shukdev Goswami narrates this other story, and we get amazing lessons even from this story, where Garud would sometimes go, and birds like to eat fish, and they sometimes dive in and pick up a fish as they're swimming on the surface of the water and just below the surface of the water, and they would eat. So Garud would go to this lake, and sometimes he would catch few fishes. So Saubhari Muni was meditating in this lake, and so he was becoming compassionate towards these fishes. And so he told Garud not to take any of the fishes. And by doing that, he actually makes two offenses. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he reveals to us that the first offense he made was, he dared to give an order to Garud to, not eat any of the fish from the lake. And the second is, the second offense was that he tried to obstruct Garud from taking his natural food. So it is where we also heard as how Maharaj Shibi, just to allow the natural food of the eagle, who was, again, this is previous pastime, we heard it earlier in the cantos. He was providing his own flesh, because you're not supposed to take away the natural food of a living entity who's who's showing up in a different body and is claiming its food. So here, since Saubhari Muni obstructed Garudev from taking his own natural food, that was the second offense. And what happened was, the third event that happened is when Garud, he understood what was being said, yet at the same time being natural food, he decided to just take one fish instead of many fishes. So he went and he grabbed a big fish, which was the leader of the fishes in the lake. So as Garudev, he flew away with this big fish in his mouth, in his beaks. At that time, Saubhari Muni, he gave a curse that if Garud comes there ever, he would immediately die. And let this be the truth. So he had put all his potency, all his austerity in that woe. Yet at the same time, he is cursing of Vaishnava, which itself is an offense. And that offense has a reaction that causes Saubhari Muni to fall down. And as we heard in the earlier cantos, Saubhari Muni, he falls down from his position, from his meditation, and just in the waters, the fall down happens, that he sees the fishes mating together. And at that time, just by seeing, he has the desire to mate. So again, it is very important for us to restrict our senses from the material enjoyment, because the transfer of desire happens when we see someone doing something and we understand what kind of enjoyment they are taking in that. This is one of the reasons Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, just like a yogi, he withdraws his senses, just like the tortoise, withdraws its senses. So similarly, when we see that the sense objects are lucrative and could cause harm to us, we should immediately withdraw our senses away from it. Yet at the same time, disengagement would not give the solution. We have to engage our senses in the right activities. Param dishtva nivartate. So we have to engage in a higher taste. So when we engage our senses in higher taste, and they start to build this taste and they start to relish, they will not go for the lower taste with the more menial things and activities. So similarly, here, Sabri Muni, just by seeing the fishes mating together, he gets this desire to marry and enjoy his senses. And so he goes to King Mandhata, and then King Mandhata, in a way jokes around, thinking that because his body had been in water for so long, he had all white hair, a wrinkled skin, an old body, completely, unattractive. So, Hare Krishna. Due to some technical difficulties, I got disconnected, and so we'll continue where we left off in the previous section. We were discussing as how Maharaj Shibi, he exemplified that when the eagle had come to take the bird, Maharaj Shibi was giving, he was cutting his own flesh in response to satisfy the eagle, and eagle asked for the same weight. So again, the natural food of an eagle is, the smaller birds or fish, snakes, and so forth. So that was the natural food. And when Sabri Muni, he first of all committed 2 offenses, as we covered earlier, but we'll continue. So the first offenses he committed was that he dared to give an order to a Vaishnava. Garudev is a carrier of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna. So he dared to give an order to Vaishnava, that was an offense. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he reveals to us that this was a great offense, and a Vaishnava Aparadh is like a mad elephant disease. So if a mad elephant enters into a nice garden, the whole garden is destroyed. So we should not commit Vaishnava Aparadh, because the nice garden of our heart, where we are engaging in, watering this Bhakti Lata Bij, right? The seed of devotion in our heart, that grows and finally, passes through, it crosses over this material universe and finally rests at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Yet at the same time, if we allow Vaishnava Aparadha, offenses towards the Vaishnava, the great devotees of the Lord and sadhus, if we allow that to happen, then just like a mad elephant goes inside a garden, completely destroys the garden, we are letting our Bhakti Lata Bij be affected and being destroyed. So we should not let that happen. And sometimes it is very important that when we do not know who is a Vaishnava, who is not a Vaishnava. From outer covering, sometimes we don't understand that. Just like in case of Dhruv Maharaj, when he wanted to sit on his father's lap, at that time Suruchi, she rebuked him, pushed him down, and then she said that he will have to take birth from her womb to be able to sit in his father's lap. So she going to be recognized because at that time he had not manifested those qualities of a great devotee, of a great Vaishnava. And yet at the same time, this very incident was the spark that ignited that fire in his heart to take shelter. And then he took shelter first of his mother Suniti, asked her what was the cause. Why is it that he is not able to get the same place where his younger brother, his half cousin, half brother, Uttam Shloka is able to sit in his father's lap. At that time, his mother, she revealed to him that he has to take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Param Pita, who is Father of all the worlds, all the living entities. So that's where, Dhruv Maharaj got that inspiration, and he met, and then he took shelter of Devashi Narad, sage Narad. He came knowing that this small boy, he is going on this great mission, and he wanted to test Dhruv Maharaj. And Dhruv Maharaj, he gave different kind of indications here. At the same time, Dhruv Maharaj, he was determined And so he was able to become a great Vaishnava. So sometimes when we are interacting with people, even general populace, we do not know what great exalted personalities they could be, because they are hidden currently from our vision. Our visions are defective, that's one of the defects. And we fail to recognize sometimes great Vaishnavas. So we should even avoid Janaprad, because we do not know who is a Vaishnava. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, anyone who has chanted the name of the Lord is a Vaishnava. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So the lesson we learn is that we should not even, engage in Janaprad, in offenses to general populace. We may think that person is a common man or a simple person, but we should not look at it that way. So here, Subramanian's first offense is that he tried to give an order to a Vaishnava, which was a Vaishnava offense, which is a mad elephant disease. That caused his fall down. Second was that he obstructed Garuda from satisfying his desire to take his natural food. Eagles and birds, they take fish. They sometimes dive in and pick up, from under the surface of the water, they can see the fish and they immediately pick up it and speak, and then they eat. That's the natural food. And so Garudev was just going for his natural food. And at that time, Subramani obstructed him. He restricted him from taking that. So that was the second offense. And to top it all off, Subramani, he curses Garudev, that if Garudev ever comes there. Why did he do that? Because Garudev, he decided not to take many fishes. He decided to take one fish. So he dove in and he picked up a large fish, which was the leader of the fishes. And all the fishes became sad, seeing, Garudev, fly away with their leader in his beaks. And seeing them so saddened and so much in grief, Subramani, he felt compassion towards all the fishes. So in that misplaced compassion, he curses Garudev that if Garuda ever comes back to this lake to hunt for fish, he would die immediately. So that was also the other curse, yet at the same time it is misplaced compassion. We also covered, and I'll just quickly cover, that Subramani fell down from his position because of this Vaishnava aparadh he committed. And so in the waters he saw the fishes mating, and just by seeing the mating and seeing that what kind of sense enjoyment they're getting, he suddenly got the desire to enjoy like that. So sometimes when we are seeing, just by looking at the sense objects, sometimes our senses get bewildered. So Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita reveals to us that we should immediately detach ourselves from engagement with sense objects, because the senses are very strong. And just like a turtle, withdraws its senses, similarly we should withdraw. But detachment alone will not give a solution. We have to engage them in proper activities. Param dashtva nivartate. We should engage them in higher taste, which is through the devotional service, putting Lord Krishna in the center, placing him in the center, and engaging our senses in his devotional service so that they get purified and completely satisfied. Because Lord is Rishikesha, he is the master of the senses. So when we satisfy the senses of the master of the senses, our senses are automatically satisfied. So Subramani, desiring that, he falls down, and then he comes out of the lake and goes to King Mandhata's palace, and he asks for the king, to give one of his daughter in marriage to him. The king Mandhata, he's thinking, this old sage with an ugly body, his body is all wrinkled, the skin is wrinkled, he's got white long hair all over his body, he's old, his sagging body, and because he was underwater, it had acquired some of the aquatic characteristics of different type of beings had attached themselves to his body. So he did not look very attractive. And King Mandhata said, you can go and talk to any of my daughters, and if they want to marry you, you can marry them. So here Subramani was able to understand that King Mandhata was in a way kind of like denying him. He was saying, no, you're so ugly. But he got that message. So as he was walking towards the palace where all the 50 daughters of King Mandhata were residing, he realizing that these girls would not like to marry an old sage with sagging body and the skin is all wrinkled and so forth. He changes himself into a young man so handsome that even the denizens of heaven, the demigoddesses, the apsaras would like to, desire him. So when he goes, and the daughters of King Mandhata, the princesses, they see the sage, a young, handsome man, very attractive and very powerful sage. They come to know of this, and when they see, they start fighting with each other. So because our senses are so strong, sometimes we even give up our relationships because we are looking to satisfy our senses. Yes, Rupa Goswami also reveals in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that because of our sense gratification, we expand it. We expand ourselves in different kind of isms, right? Socialism, nationalism, and so forth. So this is an extension of our sense gratification. They are extension of our senses. So we try to satisfy them, and sometimes we are so much driven that we are able to give our life as well. Yet it is very much putting us in the center. We are looking for sense gratification. It will satisfy our senses. We will feel nice. We will feel very proud. So that's the mentality. We should not be looking from that perspective. We should be looking at satisfying the senses of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These daughters, the 50 princesses, they are fighting with each other to marry him. So all of them marry King Shaubari. And seeing this, King Mandhata, and then King Sage Shaubari, what he does is, he builds up with his mystic power, with the yogi power, even more opulent palaces and gardens for them to live in and enjoy their life, and he is enjoying with them, than King Mandhata, who's the emperor of the world at that time, had. So seeing that, King Mandhata becomes detached. So sometimes when you see someone who had no capabilities, getting everything, then you don't feel the value of things you have around you. So similarly, King Mandhata suddenly loses the taste of his own kingdom, of his own engagement as the emperor. And he gives up all that and takes to devotional service. He goes to the forest with his wife and he takes to devotional service. And just by engaging in devotional service, by engaging his senses in the right purpose, therefore, all the fangs and all the agitation of the senses is completely gone, they're broken. So these senses which are like snake, but their fangs have been broken, they have been completely subdued, their poison has gone away, so they're completely engaging in devotional service. Purified, King Mandhata is able to go back home, back to Godhead at the end of his life. And so here Sage Shaubari Muni, he is engaging in sense gratification with the 50 princesses. And each of them has great opulent palace, gardens, and all the facilities, all the maid servants and servants. And because of constant engagement and being, a sage, a Muni in the past, Shaubari Muni develops detachment. He understands that, when you are engaging in the sense gratification, these senses are like snakes and they continue to bite you and agitate you, bring up the heat in you again and again, make you more and more agitated. They are like this fire where you're pouring more and more clarified butter and the fire is getting stronger and stronger. So sometimes when you put too much of it, you may cut off its connection, the fire's connection with the oxygen. So similarly like that, Shaubari Muni, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's able to build detachment from all the sense enjoyment he was engaged in. And he was able to detach, realizing what he was meant to do. And then he engages in devotional service, giving up all that sense gratification, and he was able to also return back home, back to Godhead. However, when he cursed Garudadev, so when he cursed the carrier of Lord Vishnu, Garud, at that time, this was misplaced compassion. Why is it misplaced compassion? Because by driving away Garudadev, Kāliya knew that Garud would never come to this lake in Yamuna river. So this lake is where he comes, and coming of Kāliya causes havoc to all the living entities in the lake. So all the fishes, all the living entities, all the entities in the lake, they all die because of the venom that pollutes the waters of this Yamuna lake. And so this is misplaced compassion, because Shaubari Muni, he was trying to protect the fishes, but his curse became the cause that caused havoc to the inhabitants of that lake. And here we learn as how we should not have misplaced compassion. And we saw in the case of Arjuna, When he was at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he had misplaced compassion. He was looking at his relatives, he was looking at his uncles, he was looking at his father-in-laws, he was looking at his teachers, his grandsire, Bhishma Pitama, and so forth. So he had this misplaced compassion that, if all of them would die, who will I enjoy this kingdom that if I win? So what will this, attain? What kind of goal will there be? And he had this misplaced compassion, and Lord Krishna was there to properly enlighten him, and that is for our sake. Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord, so that's for our sake, for our benefit. Lord Krishna enlightens Arjuna so that we get enlightened, that we should understand that the purpose of this life is not, eat, sleep and be merry, but rather it is to engage in the devotional service of the Lord, so we can re-establish our relationship with the Lord, engage in devotional service as the process, so that we can develop the love of Godhead, which is the goal of life, and go back home, back to Godhead, and not stay here, where there is danger at every step. Padam padam yad vipdam natesham, the place where there is constant misery at every step. And after Lord Krishna is driven away, he is chastised and driven away, he has driven away Kāliya from the lake. And before that, means Kāliya performs after the Nagpatnis who were thinking that their husband is not a devotee initially. And when Lord Krishna and Kāliya were fighting, and Lord Krishna started dancing on the hoods of Kāliya. So again, when we chant the holy name, he is dancing at our tongue. So our tongue is like serpents, it's the strongest sense. Yet at the same time, when Lord dances on the hoods of Kāliya, just like that, he is subduing our tongue so that we get purified. All the poison is driven away. And when they saw Lord dancing on the hoods, as soon as the hood rises, Lord Krishna puts it down by stepping on it in his beautiful dancing posture. And he is dancing more, rhythmically, more opulently, more melodiously. And he's also the musician. He's also, playing on his flute. And constantly enchanting all the living entities. The whole of Vrindavan, residents of Vrindavan, everyone is gathered and they are all mesmerized looking at the Lord. Lord Krishna dancing and subduing Kāliya in that manner. And so when Kāliya is subdued and Nagpatnis realize that their husband, all his pride has gone away, all his cruelty, all his envious nature has driven away, and now he has surrendered at the lotus feet of the Lord, he is about to die, fall unconscious. They start praying to the Lord by placing the children in front, and when they sing these prayers, Lord Krishna is satisfied. And he steps off of Kāliya. When he jumps off of the hoods of Kāliya, at that time Kāliya sings prayers, using the prayers that his wives, the Nagapatnis, had sung before. He is borrowing because he is too tired and he has not engaged in devotional service. So this is another lesson we get. When in the beginning we are engaging in devotional service and we do not know how to approach the Lord. We sing the songs of the Acharyas. We sing Brahma Samhita, right? The prayers from Brahma Samhita as Lord Brahma is praying. So through them, through the message of the Acharyas, we are able to approach the Lord. We are able to enliven our senses. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Lord Brahma is praying that Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Satchidananda Vigraha. Sat is eternity. Chit is all knowledge. Anand, complete bliss, spiritual bliss. Vigraha, he is the embodiment of eternity, knowledge and bliss. And he is the cause of all causes. And Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karan Karanam. And in that manner, Kāliya is praying to the Lord. And when Kāliya prays, Lord is satisfied. Then he worships the Lord in an opulent manner. In the very city that he has formed using his mystic power of Jal Stamba, he could make solids out of water because of the mystic power. So he bedecks, he garlands the Lord. The Lord is wearing amazing silken clothes and garlanded. He is completely covered. His face is nicely decorated with Gopi Chandan, and various ornaments have been offered, jewels have been offered. So when Lord Krishna comes out from the lake, he is bedecked with all these amazing garments and completely covered with gold and jewels. And he also gets, as we covered in the last chapter, the Kaustuba jewel. He's so able to get the Kaustuba money and he puts it on his heart. So that was a mystic thing, that Lord Krishna allowed the money to appear, the Kaustuba jewel to appear in the treasury of Kāliya, so that he offers back it to the Lord. So everything belongs to the Lord and should be used in the service of the Lord. And when Lord Krishna appears, all the Vrindavan Vasis, they are as if they have recovered their life. They have come back to their consciousness, and they are, getting up to welcome the Lord. And this is where Acharyas explain that initially when Lord Krishna would go in the morning along with all the cowherd boys to take the cows into the forest for tending and for herdship. So again, as he is taking all the cows, they would be in anxiety and waiting for the Lord, constantly singing his glories, meditating on him. And the gopis would be in anxiety that Lord Krishna, he is wandering with his barefoot in the forest. And so there are hard stones and there are thorns in the forest, and there was anxiety that those lotus feet could get pierced by the thorns and so forth. And in the evening when Lord Krishna would come back, everyone was looking at the path. When he would come back, they would be, relishing that sweet form of the Lord as he is coming, completely covered with the dust raised by the hoofs of the cows. And this dust of the hoofs that's raised is actually very energy giving, so it energizes us. So it's a good dust, not the other dust like that flows because of the wind. So here Lord is appearing and they would be satisfied. Yet at the same time, on this particular day, when Lord appears in front of the residents of Vrindavan from the lake, they are feeling the same bliss, as if their life has come back, and Lord is embracing the cowherd boys. Then he embraces Balaram, who's laughing, and we understand that he's thinking that as Anandashesh, Krishna, you never played with me. Yet at the same time, you are playing with Kāliya. This is amazing. You care to do that? He's in a way, and yet at the same time, he's also realizing the glories of the Lord, that he had given this boon to Vedashira Muni in his previous birth, Vedashira Muni's previous birth, that he would mark his foot on the hoods of the Muni when he will appear as the serpent. So when he appeared as Kāliya serpent, Lord placed his footprints on the hoods of Kāliya serpent, so that he would be fearless of Garun, and Garun would not disturb him. And Lord is embraced by Nand Maharaj, and actually Balaram, when he embraces Balaram picks him up in his lap. And then Nand Maharaj comes and he embraces Krishna. And then Mother Yashoda, she is, coming to embrace Krishna, and the milk is flowing, and she is constantly, because of the love she is feeling, she is constantly kissing Lord Krishna's beautiful face and, keeping him close. And at that time, Brahmanas, they approach Nand Maharaj. They say, oh, by the mercy of the providence, by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna has come back unharmed, so you should give some charity. So Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book writes that Brahmanas are the spiritual master of the society, and there should be a constant engagement so that we continue to honor our spiritual master. And so then Maharaj gives in charity many cows, grains, hills of grains to the Brahmanas, and very nicely everyone, but yet at the same time nobody has eaten anything. You have to also understand that they have been waiting for Krishna, so nobody has eaten, they're feeling tired. So they all decide to just sleep there, right? And when they sleep at night, because the grass is dry, the trees are dry, a forest fire, starts. And that has covered, and it appears that it's covering all the way to the sky. The flames are so high, and the acharyas, they reveal, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he reveals that it appears that this is like a loyal friend of Kāliya, who has suddenly appeared, that Lord Krishna chastised, so I will, punish him or something like that. And so in that avengeful mood, the loyal friend of Kāliya is trying to devour all the residents of Vrindavan in the form of the forest fire. And then Sanatana Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami gives another explanation that maybe this is a demon sent by Kans. He is an associate of Kans, and he is trying to take this opportunity of all the residents of Vrindavan, lying in the ground near the banks of this lake, and he is trying to take the form of forest fire and devour them. Acharyas also explains, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the forest fire represents the intercommunal discord among the Vaishnavas. So united we stand, divided we fall. We understand this concept. So for the devotees it is very important for us to stay in harmony, stay synchronized, because we are all serving the same personality of Godhead and not create any discord. Srila Prabhupada gave a very nice example where if you have many sticks, you can pick up one stick and you can break it easily. Yet at the same time, if you tie all the sticks with a cord, and this cord is our communal strength, together. And of course, we also see from the Shastras, this is a story an old man was trying to teach his 6 sons, where he was saying that, go and get, twigs from the forest, some branches. They brought these branches from the forest. He asked each of his sons to just pick up one branch and break it. And each son was easily able to break each of the branches. Then he says, okay, take one branch together, each one of you gave, and then tie it in a bundle. They tied it in a bundle. Then as the old man said, now try to break this bundle of sticks. And all of them tried and they couldn't break it. So the moral lesson we learn is that when we are together, united, no one will be able to break us. And together, when we stay together, means again it gives us a lot of strength, spiritual strength, because we keep encouraging each other. Utsahan nishayat dhairya tat karma pravartanat sangatyaga sato vrittehe. So we take shelter of the devotees, yet at the same time we stay together. And it's a satsang that we have to give up. We have to give up all kind of poisonous thoughts, the gossip, the jumping to conclusions, being judgmental. We should not be so mental that we become judgmental. We should not be judging others, because we do not know who is a Dhruva and who is a Prahlad among us. So again, it's very important. We do not know who is the great personality who may be hiding among us. So we should be very respectful to all of the personalities we are engaged in, and always see Lord in everyone's heart, because that's how the vision should be of a Pandita. And give up all this intercommunal discord, because it is like blazing fire that can burn up the whole forest. And at that time they all come and they say, Krishna, Krishna, please save us. We are being burned by this forest fire. All the cows, calves, all the residents of Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda, Rohini Mata, everyone is coming to Krishna. And at that Krishna assures them, asks them to close their eyes. And as they close their eyes, Lord Krishna, he swallows the whole fire. So he swallows the fire, thus removing. So this is also another important lesson, that when we all engage lovingly in devotional service, seeking Krishna as our only shelter, and helping each other to engage in devotional service, removing any communal discord, that's when we will be saved by all kinds of demons like the forest fire. So with this lesson, the chapter ends, and we learn here some amazing lessons as how we should continue to engage in devotional service, how we should give up any sense of pride. We should be in the humble mood, serving, being tolerant to all the happenings that are happening, because these are just past karmas coming back to us. And yet at the same time, even sometimes mercy is coming back to us, and we are thinking it's a roadblock, but it's actually a stepping stone for us to rise above from where we are. Come out of our comfort zone to engage in, satisfying Lord Krishna, engage in devotional service, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, this is where the chapter ends. And we will do some kirtan. Kantra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnavind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.